Squeaky Wheel Farm. Hi, I'm Christine, and today I'd like to share with you 5 tips on how we raise meat birds on a budget. Now you're going to want to stick around for tip number 5, because in the 25 years that I've been farming and gardening, this never occurred to me, and it worked so well. Now tip number 1 is you're most likely going to get the best deal by ordering your chicks online through a reputable hatchery. Now I say that because even though you can purchase chicks through maybe a feed store or a Tractor Supply, most likely the healthiest birds that you're going to get are going to come directly from a hatchery to your farm. So there's less people touching them, there's less likely for disease, and ultimately you're going to have a better chance of finishing out those birds in a healthy and productive manner. Now believe me when I say you aren't going to save anything if you get a great deal from birds at the feed store, but they end up not being healthy birds and they die early before you get them to processing. We've always done best with ordering birds directly from the hatchery, and I'm going to give you another little tip here too. A lot of the hatcheries will appreciate having a heads up to know how many birds that they have to plan for. So by being able to order months ahead of time, they will know how many birds they have to produce. And that's really beneficial for them. So I think I saved about $1 a bird by ordering in February for a June delivery. The other benefit that you're going to get from ordering from a hatchery is the more birds you buy, the bigger discount you're going to get. So maybe you want to combine your order with a friend or a neighbor. Let them know, spread the word that you're going to be ordering meat birds, and see if you can combine an order, because if you buy, say, 100 birds, that's going to be way cheaper than buying 50. And if you can grow that order to 200 or more, you're going to see a huge discount. So talk to your neighbors and your friends and see if there's something that you can work out with them to order your chicks all at the same time. You'll really save some money there, and you'll be able to take advantage of those big discounts. Tip number 2 is you're going to weigh your feed daily and your chickens weekly. Now I say weigh your chicken feed daily, and that's because chickens eat so much that it's really easily to get off schedule and to be overfeeding those birds. Now there's some problems with that. When you're overfeeding the birds, one, there's a lot of health problems that are associated with birds that grow too rapidly. And two, you're going to go through a lot of feed. So you want to be able to feed them correctly, the correct amount, so that they can grow appropriately without causing health problems, without going through too much feed. That's going to be the most economical, and it's also going to give you the healthiest birds. Chicken feed is, without a doubt, the most expensive part of feeding out these birds. Now they're going to go through 2 to 3 pounds of starter feed in the first 2 to 3 weeks of their lives, and that's per bird. And then after that, from weeks 4 to weeks 8, they're going to go through another 12 to 14 pounds. So that's a significant investment that you're going to have in each bird before you even get them to processing. We usually figure on feeding our birds 15 to 18 pounds of feed during the duration of the 8 weeks to get to the end of that journey and get them to processing. Now I also say that you want to weigh your birds weekly. Grab one of the largest birds and one of the smallest birds and put them in a bucket and put them on your scale and just weigh them just to make sure that you're on schedule to make it to that processing date that you've already scheduled when you first purchased your chicks. And that way you know that you're going to be on schedule and have the right size bird. Now our birds typically finish out roughly about 75% of their total weight. So for example, if it's an 8-pound bird, when it goes to processing, you're possibly going to get about a 6-pound carcass, assuming that you're not doing the boneless meat. So that just gives you an idea of what you're going to get at the end, but you got to get them there first. So make sure you're weighing your birds so that you know that they're going to be the right size. You don't want them too large. Larger birds tend to be tougher and have the health problems that I've already discussed. And the smaller birds, well, while they might be nice and tender, it's just not a good use of your time and your energy, and it's not very economical to have a smaller bird when you take them to processing. Our processor charges the same price per bird whether it's a large bird or a small bird. So I'd rather have the most meat that I can during that 8-week time so that I can make the most use of all of my resources. And tip number 3 is to use a chicken tractor. Now I can tell you without a doubt that raising birds in a chicken tractor has been the healthiest birds that I've ever produced. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and it's going to fertilize your field too. Raising chickens in a chicken tractor also saves you time because you aren't spending time cleaning that chicken coop every day or every other day. And it saves you money because you aren't purchasing those big blocks of wood shavings that cost $6 or $7 a piece. Even if you use straw, which is still probably $4 a bale, that adds up over time. Using the chicken tractor saves on feed because those birds are also eating grass and bugs, and it makes them healthier because they're using the sand and the soil. They're picking up small stones, which helps their gizzard and helps them grind their feed and helps to utilize that feed so that they get the energy from it rather than it passing through the bird. And lastly, using that chicken tractor is like getting free fertilizer. It's fertilizing our pasture by us moving it daily. It's not burning the grass because of the daily moves. It's just really been a good resource for us as far as improving our pastures. So I really strongly suggest that you use a chicken tractor when you're raising your meat birds. Tip number 4 is to find ways to reduce your feed costs because that is the most expensive part of raising these birds. Now many farmers will buy feed in bulk. And by buying feed in bulk, you're going to save about 30 to 50% of the feed costs. Now you aren't going to get the pellets or the crumbles that you would get from buying bagged feed in a feed store, but you're going to save a whole lot of money. And the birds don't care whether it's in powder form or in pellet form or in crumble form. They're going to eat it just fine. And you'll find that you have a significant savings from buying it in bulk. Also, some homesteaders have gone and taken this step a little further than that. They use food scraps from their kitchen. Many homesteaders have looked into raising worms or fly larvae to help produce extra protein for their birds. And while it sounds gross, it is also a significant savings. And it's also a great way to provide that natural protein that your birds are getting when they get out there and they forage anyway. Now I gotta warn you that Cornish cross birds are not great foragers. But if you put it in front of them, they will eat it. And tip number 5 is to work with a farmer. We've got a neighbor that my husband spoke to a couple of months ago and mentioned to him that we had planned on raising some meat birds this summer. And his response was, well, I'd just love to have some of that fresh homegrown chicken. I just do not have the time in the summertime. Now the benefit to speaking with that neighbor was that my husband and he decided that since we have the time and we're doing the chores anyway and had planned on building these chicken tractors, that we would raise the birds and pay for the chicks, and he paid for all the feed. It worked fabulous. And he also had the opportunity to buy bagged feed because he was a distributor for seed and feed, so he got another price break that we wouldn't normally have had. And this worked out really well for both of us. So if you're looking to provide some healthy protein that you can source reliably and know that where it came from and trust the source, then work with a farmer. You'll be able to get food that's pesticide-free, chemical-free, none of those long names that you can't even pronounce, and without preservatives too, that they put in all kinds of stuff in the grocery store. Now this is a tip that I hadn't thought of before. This is something that I'd never dreamed would work, and it just happened that my husband had this conversation with a neighbor, and it worked out that both of us had a need. And that's the key to making this 5th step work. Figure out what somebody else needs that you can provide and work with them on whatever they've got that they can resource that can provide a benefit to your endeavor. Now for this to work for both parties, it has to pencil out. Farmers are only in business because they make a profit. But that doesn't mean that they always have the time to do these little things that they want to do. So by us providing the labor, and let me tell you, first of all, it didn't take us any more time to provide the same amount of water and feed for these extra birds than it did. We were going out twice a day to do this anyway for our own birds. So it was not a hardship at all. And I just wanted to mention, I've been farming and gardening for more than 25 years, and this had never occurred to me. When my husband spoke to the neighbor and they both decided that they could help each other out. What a concept. And it worked. I just wanted to take a few minutes to share these tips and tricks with you. I hope it's helpful. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Oh, and one more thing. I hope to see you again soon. Now if you've enjoyed this video, watch this next. Or maybe you'd like to choose your own video from one of my many selections. Just hit the subscribe button. You'll always be able to find your way back to my channel. Again, thanks for watching.